Welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative, Eddy Kool. The Sports Bros Podcast is a sports podcast that's by the fans, for the fans, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. What's going on, world? It's be your boy Eddy Kool, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. A very action-packed episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. And dear Saturday Night Live, stop stealing my stuff. All right, the Tom, Edward, Patrick, Gerald, Francois, Gerald, Peter, Michael, Order of Canada, Mayor of Brazil line is mine. Okay, go find Pete Davidson. I know he's busy chasing Kim Kardashian and trying not to get beat up by Kanye West, but stop stealing my stuff. But if you work out a deal, I'll give you some money. But enough about me. I'm here with two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, the almighty B Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today, man? I tell you, that never gets old. And man, the NFL is just, oh my goodness. I stay glued to the TV. I almost risked my job because man, I can't do it. So I'm sorry, I gotta go watch the rest of this game because we had yet another nail-biting weekend of football. Whoo! But the stage is set. We'll get to talk about it in just a second. At this point in time, let's go ahead and introduce the other guy because he's a little bit more hurt about this season of football than I am. I knew my season wasn't going to go well at all early in the season, but you see, I'm still wearing my Tiger Paul, Clemson all day. Shout out to T. Higgins, Jackson Carman, DJ Reed.
Tyler Boyd, Aaron Donald.
No, that has nothing to do with any of what I was just about to say. I'm talking about my Clemson Tigers that are going to the Super Bowl.
Sitting here on this mountaintop, So it's a wild, wild life.
So you just not even I was saying, let him introduce you, then you get to sing it. You just messed up the whole rotation.
Are you done? Also, the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, the one, the only. He is the money man, Scottie D.
So check out Mr. Businessman. It's a wild, wild life. A wild, wild weekend again in the NFL. This year's NFL postseason delivered. It delivered. And it actually delivered a big crushing blow to me because, as I mentioned last week, I had a preseason bet that the Rams and the Chiefs would meet in the Super Bowl that was going to pay me off a nice little chunk of change in a couple $100 range. And I did not get that. I did not win. I am not a winner. But NFL fans definitely were winners this weekend. The whole postseason's been outstanding. Eddy Kool, let's talk about it. Let's get right on into it.
The NFC Conference Championship and the AFC Conference Championship games took place on Sunday as we had the visiting Cincinnati Bengals at the home Kansas City Chiefs and the visiting San Francisco 49ers at home on the road against the home team, the LA Rams. Fellas, we had it. Overtime is a common theme this year. These playoffs have delivered up until this point. I'm wondering what the Super Bowl is going to be like, but B Live, what's your takeaway from the conference title games?
Well, I will start with the AFC, and there was two entirely different games played in the AFC Championship. There was the first half, and then there was the second half in overtime. Because the first half, I was like, yeah, this is over. The Chiefs are clicking on all cylinders. The Bengals can only muster a field goal. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The Chiefs were up 21-3. until they weren't. And as far as the NFC is concerned, so y'all just don't believe in leads, and y'all just don't. And I thought it was a big dagger when LA, just the beginning of the game where LA drove down the field, got all the way to the end zone, and a little case of the that ball is hot, that ball is live, and it's up in the air, and San Fran came down with it. I was like, oh, San Fran has the Rams number until it wasn't. So y'all just don't believe in leads. But man, it's just across the board. Everything you could possibly ask for as a football fan with your team not being in the championship game or being one of the two teams that won. Because I want to
hold on, B-Live. Let's do game by game. Tell me, why do you think the Bengals overcame and were able to beat Kansas City? Why did they do that? Why did did the Chiefs just fold, or was the Bengals just so relentless and their adjustments were better? What do you how did this take place?
I've looked over film highlights and such. I can't pinpoint it. It's one of those things where, do I say that Kansas City let off the gas? Do I say that Patrick Mahomes got comfortable? Do I say, like, what exactly? I really, honest to God, can't explain. It's something that I've never seen before when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. It was like they just stopped being Kansas City. It was almost reminiscent of the Super Bowl last year. But the Super Bowl last year, they were just dominating. It was like,
but also wasn't Mahomes was a little bit banged up in the Super Bowl last year, wasn't he? Didn't he have a bad ankle or something? His mobility, I think, was a little.
I think it was a toe. If I'm not mistaken.
Toe, yeah, it might have been his toe. Yeah, but I think he had some kind of injury last year that he wasn't as mobile as usual, and he was under fire a lot when Tampa's defense had constant pressure on him in the Super Bowl last year. I don't know if that was the case this year, was it? Really?
Well, he only got sacked 4 times this game, but it was I didn't see any issues with his mobility because there was quite a few times he bought himself 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds in the pocket, making incredible plays, allowing his players to get open. But maybe this is something to allude to. Maybe Cincinnati made that second half adjustment, be like, hey, bro, hold on now. We can't just let you keep running all the way around, allowing players to get open. So I think that could possibly have been the factor, because the first half, they really did not dial in that pressure. They really, he was able to and he eluded tackles, eluded sacks, and then you give any one of those wide receivers, any one of them, of course, Tyreek Hill, you give him 5 seconds to get open. Oh, he's going to get open. Kelsey will find a spot open in the zone. So, I mean, I think that's what changed between the first half and the second half. Because Patrick Mahomes, oh boy, well, I think they said I think the third quarter he had 22 yards total.
Yeah.
And the third quarter, fourth quarter was pretty much the same bit. Like, they only scored 3 points in the second half in overtime. That's not Kansas City?
No.
So
they had like 4 3-and-outs and an interception in regulation, not even counting Mahomes' interception in the overtime period. But from what the experts are saying that dissect football strategy, it seems like Cincinnati switched from a zone style defense in the first half to more of a man-to-man, and that Mahomes had problems reading that defense. But I tell you, to me, it seems like two factors. One, Kansas City got outcoached. Maybe they even outcoached themselves, because at the end of regulation, they were driving down the field. They had 1st and goal from the 4 and went straight backwards. If that happens and they kick a field goal, they would have still won the game if they would have kicked a field goal at the end of the first half. They outsmarted themselves with 5 seconds left, and your quarterback on the play before that with 13 seconds, Mahomes throws the ball into the ground. That's awareness that nothing's developed developing. I need to get rid of the ball and not take a sack. We don't have timeouts. But then in the next play, it was like the opposite. He threw a ball to a guy. Actually, he threw the ball to Hill behind the line. So it was actually a lateral pass. And Hill needs to get to the sideline and get out of bounds because he got two guys in front of him. He doesn't score. They walk off the field. And the Cincinnati player said that was a turning point of the game for them, that they took that little defensive stand as a wave of momentum into the locker room. And then for them to get down to a 1st and goal from the 4-yard line and go straight backwards. And Mahomes is back there circling. He got too cute. Instead of throwing the ball, he lost like 17 yards on 2 plays, running backwards. Now, I tell you, he got really lucky that his offensive lineman picked up a fumble. Because otherwise, we'd be sitting here, we'd be talking today about how he didn't even get him the opportunity to win in overtime. That would have been the discussion of the day. Mahomes was back there not goofing off, but not taking care of the football. And had Cincinnati recovered that and they not got the opportunity to kick that game-tying field goal, the story today would have been much different. It had been Patrick Mahomes cost him a chance to win the game in overtime. It was, to me, it's almost like they got too cute. And I've said that about Andy Reid going all the way back to Philadelphia. I think he gets too cute with his play calling sometimes. And it was not good awareness for them. They went from a chip shot field goal, games easily tied, to now they went from the 4-yard line to like a 44-yard field goal or whatever it was. Very bad on the goal line to the end of both halves for the Chiefs.
I think, and I like the way you said that, and that actually reminds me, they went to that bag one too many times where Mahomes was just back there, too cavalier, spinning away, buying himself time, and thinking that nobody was going to be behind them, pursuing him. And sure enough, he turned around that one last time. They're like, hey, bro, where you going? Where you going? You is not going to keep running around on us all game like that and think we're not going to pick up on this. They said, no, we're gonna widen it out. And I think just looking at this, just a little quick analytics. But I think the defensive line of the Bengals, they weren't doing too much damage going up the middle. Kansas City likes to use their speed. So what the Bengals did, their defensive line did, they kept contained. They weren't going to allow him to keep breaking out on the outside.
The outside, you're talking about outside contained, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he said, and that's one thing that was killing them in the first half, is that he's outside the pocket, giving them receivers extra time to get open, and that's what they do. That's what Tyreek Hill is built and made for. And I think that was the adjustment that Cincinnati made, because Mahomes' second half was not able to get on the outside and break contain and allow that extra time for them to get open. They said, hey, the secondary, the defensive backs of Cincinnati say, we got one job to do. If we can keep these dudes 5 seconds, maintain your position for 5 seconds, them boys are going to get into Patrick Mahomes, and they did. Mm-hmm. And that's the tale of 2 halves.
Yeah, and of the overtime, because then Kansas City found themselves in the same position as last week, winning the coin toss. And the first 2 passes, we know that he threw that interception that kind of got batted around deep down the field. But his first 2 passes he threw to, was a Marcus Robinson, was that the guy's name, the receiver? Mm-hmm. Who he hadn't thrown a pass to the whole game. And the first one was a slant pass behind him that should have been picked off right there.
Eli Apple to the house.
Right, yeah, that could have ended the game right there. But he threw 2 to that guy. You don't think you got to figure out a way to get Tyreek Hill, even if it's a bubble screen, get positive yards. Your offense has been sputtering. Give it to Kelsey for 4 yards. Get quick positive yards and get this offense flowing again. And we talked about all that stuff and haven't even mentioned Joe Burrow yet. And this is a kid who has not played a full season before now. And here he is in the Super Bowl. What a cool customer this kid is. He basically outplayed Mahomes. He didn't make the mistakes that we've seen, other quarterbacks at that stage. Now, I think I've heard a few people mention on TV this past weekend, he's only a year younger than Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's kind of what has worked in Joe Burrow's favor. A lot of these kids these quarterbacks coming out of college, they play 1 or 2 years and they come out and they're 20, 21, 22 in their first or second year in the NFL. Well, he was a red shirt and played it to a senior year, correct? He was a senior in that.
The thing about it is, here's the thing. He didn't play until his junior year, like his fourth year at
Right.
and he didn't even start at Ohio State. Let me see. No, I lied. He didn't play until his fourth year. His fourth year was when he transferred to LSU, and his fifth year in college was that magical season that we will not talk about ever again.
Correct. Right.
It's not necessary. I'm sorry,
but there you go. It was a lot of people point to that as one of the greatest seasons ever in collegiate history because of the rigorous schedule and the teams that he beat along the way. So this kid knows he gets it done. He's got swagger. He's got almost like a Brett Favre kind of thing to him too with his confidence. But he's not really a gunslinger. He's very efficient with his passes, and when he chooses to run the ball, this kid blew his knee out last year. Halfway through the season, he's not afraid to run. He's not afraid to stand in the pocket and take hits. He's the package, man. I mean, this almost he himself doesn't remind me of Troy Aikman, but the Bengals remind me of when the Cowboys of the early 90s won their first Super Bowl. Everyone thought they were a year early. They thought San Francisco, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, Ricky Waters, these guys are set this year. The Cowboys have this young upstart team. They're probably a year away, and the Cowboys went to San Francisco and they beat them to go on to the Super Bowl. And I don't see a lot of similarities as far as like the structure of the team. Like the Cowboys were known as like the triplets with Emmett and Michael Irvin. The Bengals have a little bit more of a dynamic spread out kind of offense, but I feel like the Bengals are a year early because we kept saying they're really good, but, and what was the big but we kept talking about?
The offensive line. Offensive line. Yeah.
You can't win with an offensive line like that. And here they are in the Super Bowl. And they're a year probably earlier than I thought that they were going to be.
So you keep saying we. You said that they were a year early. But let's also bring this back to all roads lead to Dabo. I want to go ahead and make that real quick. I love the fact about Cincinnati. They say, go ahead, double up on Jamar Chase all you want to, because what they do is bring in my boy T. Higgins, and all he did was go for 6 receptions for 103 yards and led the Bengals in receiving. I love the dynamic. I love it. They got talent across the board.
They're stars. They got stars, man.
Early. Yeah, you're right. They have stars. They have stars early. I mean, I'm over here looking at T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Who else they got there? Tyler
Mixon.
Mixon, Dixon, as B-Live likes to call him. And Joe Burrow. He's so cool. He just cool. It's just with that cool demeanor, it resonates throughout the entire team.
Absolutely.
You see, it's not just him. It goes to the running backs, even Samaje Perine, which is James spelled backwards. It goes out to him, over to the defense, and on to the coach. And I'm gonna tell you what, before we went on air, we did have a conversation that I saw these Bengals back when they played against the Browns, and the Browns hung 41 points on them. I don't know what happened between now and then, but these Bengals look nothing like those Bengals in that part of the season. And this is November. It's a totally different team. They found a way. I mean, people say, well, that division's weak. Look, this thing about division. You got to play games and you got to win games in order to win your division. I mean, be it that Pittsburgh wasn't Pittsburgh, the Browns is the Browns, or the Ravens, they were ravaged with injury. They stepped in and said, well, you know what? We got everybody, and we're going to take the division crown. All right? And now they're going to the Super Bowl. Move right along, fellas. The NFC side of things, we got the Rams and the 49ers. The 49ers almost had the Rams number again. But, Scottie D, you mentioned something about the sloppy mismanagement in Sean McVay's end, and he's lucky it didn't bite him in the butt.
Matthew Stafford pulled his butt out of the fire on this one because they were having some struggles. The Rams were struggling a little bit, and McVay got desperate. And in the second half, he wasted one timeout on not getting the play in quick enough. They were looking at a violation on the play clock. And then he challenged 2 plays that I think he challenged out of frustration because he wanted it to go his way. They were frustration challenges because Stafford went on a quarterback sneak, clearly didn't get there where it was obvious. Maybe there was a bad spot, but it wasn't an obvious one where you need those other 2 timeouts in that close of a game. and then he challenged the fumble. And on commercial, we got to look at it, and we knew that was not going to be, so this dude went late into the game, not having any timeouts in a one possession game. And Stafford and Odell Beckham, to his credit, stepped up big. He had 9 catches for over 100 yards. And Cooper Kupp did Cooper Kupp stuff on his historic season, getting open. There was one play with a slant pattern. I think it was a 3rd and 10 actually that Stafford converted, and Cooper Kupp went across on the game-winning drive there. And I think Matthew Stafford he paid dividends, because the Rams went all in on this year. These dudes don't have draft picks for like another 20 years or something, because they went all in on all these guys. They went in on Jalen Ramsey last year and shipped Goff out for Stafford. And so they went all in. They're saying we got to win this year. And Matthew Stafford made that pay off on Sunday by coming through in the clutch. They were a little bit slow getting out of the gate in the first half, but in the second half they were able to pull through. And the defense, which wasn't getting much pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo for most of the game, in the fourth quarter really stepped their game up. That's whenever you saw, even the last play of the game, there was our guy, Aaron Donald, breathing down Garoppolo's neck, and he forced that little shovel pass that went errant and ended up in the Rams' possession. But I thought Stafford played a good game. And actually, he had a receive. There's a lot been made about he threw a really bad pass late in the game that San Francisco, and I forget the guy's name, had it in his hands and dropped it. Could have been an interception. And a lot of people point to that as a pivotal play. Well, I look at early in the first half, Stafford threw a pass to his receiver that hit him in the forearm. He's in the end zone. He's behind the defense, and he dropped. So they could have been a little bit further ahead, and they followed that up with a missed field goal. So there were points off the board there in that case too. But hotly contested game. Maybe that's the end of Jimmy G. I don't know. The 49ers looked really good in every playoff game I watched them. I guess they got off to a slow start, and I didn't give them enough credit for how they turned their season around and were that legitimately close to being a Super Bowl team again. But what'd you think, B-Live? Was Stafford the difference, or how did you see that?
I saw it the other way. Stafford did just enough. But the biggest difference between the first half and the second half, did you see after the 49ers scored and were up 17-7, did you see Aaron Donald?
Firing up the troops.
Did you see him go over to his defense? He's like, fellas, we got to change this. We got to change this now. And then, man, after that, boy, Jimmy G was back there seeing ghosts and goblins. And then that last play, he didn't even know what to do. I was like, it was after that, when they scored and was up 17-7, it was like the defense of the Rams said, you know what, that's it. We done allowed enough, and we gonna stop this. Stop these shenanigans. They are not that good, and we're not gonna let them off the hook. I love that line. I'm sorry.
I think they held him to. I think they held him to like 55 rushing yards or something.
Yeah, they bottled.
They didn't let Debo get loose. They kind of bottled Debo up as far as like the back. He had one big play, I think, on a screen pass or a lateral or something. He had like a 40-yard play. Actually, I think he scored on that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he scored. Yeah.
But that was
a big play.
But then there was one play where they lit him up coming across.
Yeah. They threw a flag and then they picked it up.
Because that was a clean, but that was
was clean.
A vicious hit. Yeah. The way he hit him made us all think, "Oh, yeah, that's a flag." Yeah. But then when we saw it in slow motion, I'm like, "Ooh, no, he just."
What a beast that guy is, though. That Debo's a beast.
Debo Samuel, I'll give you your. Hey, you see the purple and orange. I will give you your just respect. You are a superstar, and for years to come. Man, oh man, he's one of the best in the league. So he's man, his dynamic. He's going to do big things, but it was just not enough because the Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, they are 100% all in. This defense is nothing to play with.
Hey, you can't forget Leonard Floyd. A lot of people don't talk about Leonard Floyd.
Right.
Cannot forget him too.
That don't even make no sense.
And then look at this. Eric Weddle from off the damn couch.
Right.
Yeah.
He showed up.
Real big play.
Yeah.
Run play up the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel like I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I forgot all about you're right. Where he come from?
Straight up off the couch.
Man.
Straight up off the couch. You know what? I saw something the other day and somebody was like that Deebo Samuels reminds them of Cordero Patterson, or they said, or something like that. It was a comparison between the two. But I think Shanahan has just found out how to utilize Deebo Samuel. So we got so we got a Super Bowl coming up, fellas, with the Cincinnati Bengals and the San Francisco 49ers. But here at the sports, the Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. All right, so what we're not gonna do is talk about the Super Bowl for the next 2 weeks. We'll talk about it pretty soon. But as of right now, there's a lot going on, fellas, in the NFL. Coaches are getting jobs. So Josh McDaniels, he goes to the Raiders. I think they were good the way they were. Eberflus, he gets hired by the Bears, correct?
Is that finalized?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I'm looking at an article right now. Brian Daboll, where did he go again?
The Giants.
Brian Daboll goes to the Giants, and
so the Giants took the Bills. They hired their general manager from the Bills.
Yeah,
and then he brought Daboll with him.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the Bears hired a general manager and then a coach the next day. So how'd that happen? Really quick, That's What, did that general manager hire that coach? I don't think so. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
No. So, fellas, then we also have former Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. He goes to Denver, and you know what the rumors are, don't you?
Yeah,
we do.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this real quick. Good Lord, Denver, stop begging. I ain't never seen a team beg and plead so bad for one player that they pick somebody that might have the best qualifications of being a head coach, just to pander to a guy that might give you 2 or 3 more years in the league. Y'all believe in this whole Tom Brady Bucks formula a little too much. Y'all might be a little bit more than just a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. So don't. Is
that all of them, Eddie? Is that all?
Well, let's see. We got Sean Payton. He steps down from the Saints.
Oh yeah.
And then we got the bubbling of Jim Harbaugh. Possibly
he's interviewing for Minnesota.
Yeah, he's interviewing for Minnesota, and then we have. I'm trying to look. Is there somebody?
There's another interesting one I heard today that Brian Flores, the Dolphins coach, now could be interviewing with the Texans, which is be interesting development because when he was in Miami, the big sticking point between him and management is that he wanted Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be interesting if he goes to Deshaun Watson's house and Deshaun Watson leaves home? I mean, I think this is feels like another desperation Hail Mary type situation with the Texans, because last year they couldn't get Deshaun to come in. So they said, well, we're going to hire a black head coach. Maybe that'll work. And that didn't work. So they fired that dude. They said, well, maybe we'll get this other black head coach that Deshaun Watson might like to play for. So I heard, Bart Scott on the ESPN radio saying, why are the black head coaches getting interviewed for the lousy jobs? So, but Flores, if he does go to Houston, could somehow convince Deshaun Watson to play. Although I think Deshaun Watson's relationship with the management team down there is so fractured. I don't think that would lead him to come back. But you never know. I mean, anyway, that's just another development. I heard another name. That's because I've been wondering where Brian Flores has been. I haven't heard any other teams reaching out to him other than this one. It seemed like Dan Quinn was the hot name, and he's now pulled his name out of consideration. I thought he was headed to Denver, but he didn't have that Aaron Rodgers connection.
Dan Quinn is staying in Dallas, from what I hear.
Staying in Dallas, yeah.
Yep. So what's the thing I heard? It was like, okay, you got Dan Quinn staying in Dallas. Nobody is talking to Kellen Moore. Mike McCarthy is there. but they say Jerry Jones is like chomping at the bit. Oh, Sean Payton, he's free. But you're stuck with Mike McCarthy. Also, speaking of guys that should deserve to get a job, Rich Bisaccia, he's a candidate for the Jacksonville Jaguars job. First of all, you guys already know how I feel about Josh McDaniels. He wears a visor. He walks and dresses like a 12-year-old. I know. I'm just hoping that for his sake, like this is a guy that balked at the coach job just to go back to Big Daddy Bill Belichick and Brady and win some more. And now he's over in Oakland. If I was in Oakland,
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
I'm sorry, Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
If I was Vegas, sometimes you gotta leave well enough the hell alone. The guys rallied around Bisaccia, went 7-5 and went to the playoffs after losing a coach and the whole Henry Ruggs situation. The Raiders were competitive. They bought in, but then sometimes you think the interim guy is the right guy, but the GMs feel otherwise. So even though
that might be a good fit, though. This guy, maybe McDaniel, with all that experience with Brady, maybe he's the right guy to help bring Derek Carr to a higher level. I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
I hope he's just not running that wild horse mess that he did in Denver. I'm just hope he don't do that.
Started off 6-0, and I think he won like one more game in the next year and a half, something like that.
And then so it'll be Josh McDaniels. I don't know between him and Matt Patricia, and I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this. I'm going to get this out the way because out of all those names and everything that you mentioned, all these culture changes, whatnot, Jacksonville Jaguars. What the hell happened to you hiring Byron Leftwich? Well, that story grew cold as hell, and you want to know why it grew cold as hell? It's because probably Byron Leftwich said, "Bro, I'm not working for Trent Baalke."
Yeah,
we don't know. I mean, that interview could be happening as we speak. We don't know.
I think the interview already happened. It was already a foregone conclusion that Byron Leftwich was going to be the new head coach. I thought so, and then that, like, literally, I was looking the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
But he's been busy. Leftwich has been busy.
Yeah, now he's got free time.
Yeah,
a lot of free time.
It's a consensus though that Trent Baalke is horrible at his job.
Okay,
as general manager, and so Chad can't do something, do better.
As a matter of fact, I think they're bringing Kellen Moore down for a second interview, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh. This be like, wait a minute. Let me put on gallery view. Let me see your face again.
I was excited for Byron Leftwich. I was like,
me too.
Head coach with quarterback experience,
full circle.
Could still happen.
I hope, but I still want Trent Baalke. He's got to go. The fans don't like him. They call him a clown. It's just a bad situation across the board. He hired freaking Urban Meyer. That he has cannot be named
on the podcast.
Yeah, my boy.
Right, so we're talking about coaches getting hired, the up and coming Super Bowl. But when we come back, we're going to discuss an article that I wrote as we discuss why the AFC has the toughest role and will have the toughest role in the future, especially at the quarterback position. Coming right back at you right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. All right, moving right along, we got some more football talk before we put it to rest until the Super Bowl. And fellas, next week, are we doing our awards, our MVPs and all the kind of stuff like that next week?
Sure. We'll do that in some Super Bowl predictions next week.
Great. We'll do that next week. All right. So Scottie D brought up a very interesting topic, if you will. This past Thursday. Yes. This past Thursday, I released an article on Keon Sports Media, which you can check out. I'll give you the link in the description box on how the AFC is in good hands with these 5 young quarterbacks. All right. And I tell you, I give you like a brief, recap of the season, give you their stats and everything. And, I tell you, the reader, what makes them special. And the quarterbacks include Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Justin Herbert. And upon research, I was researching some information for Justin Herbert, had no idea this kid threw for 5,000 yards this season. Had
Quiet.
a quiet 5,000 yards. It seems like to me, fellas, I don't know about y'all, but with the way, I mean, think about it. We already have what? There's 2 MVPs, a possible, 1 Super Bowl, made it 2 possible Super Bowl winners. And then we got another guy in Josh Allen, and then we got another guy in Justin Herbert who's doing otherworldly stuff. Fellas, do you think the AFC will have a tight reign on the Lombardi Trophy in the future?
I'm going to say this because it's been, I'm going to say in the future, yes. This year, no. Not just yet. Not so fast. Because, I'm still.
Your Super Bowl pick spoiler here?
Yeah, I'm just, it's going to be a little spoiler. Not just yet. I think that those 5 quarterbacks that you mentioned will have a stranglehold on the AFC Championship.
Ooh. Stranglehold,
without question. One of those 5 guys, they're going to be the AFC champion every single year moving forward for at least the next decade. And I don't see anybody. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is always going to be in the talks. Josh Allen, Josh Allen got a taste of it this year. You think he's not going to come back hungrier next year? Man, and Joe Burrow, he's here. Lamar Jackson, if he can stay healthy, I mean, come on. Oh my goodness. Justin Herbert, I think Justin Herbert is just one step, and I think it might not be on the offensive side of it. It might be defensive is where they might need that edge because Justin Herbert has put up numbers. So, I mean, I think they have a stranglehold on the AFC Championship. But at the end of the day, as much flash and flare as you might have, I'm still at the proponent of defense wins championships. So I'm throwing that spoiler alert out there for you for who I think is going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Scottie D,
yeah,
Scottie D.
Well, what I found interesting and what was even making me think of this is because I think this is a very interesting time in the NFL for the quarterback. And I can remember maybe 6-7 years ago thinking there are a lot of really good quarterbacks in the NFL. And what you mentioned in your article is some possible elite young quarterbacks, but I think that this is a actual top heavy to bad time for the league as far as the quarterback position is the way it's shaping up. I'll tell you what, as I was coming into this season, I thought that there were 3 quarterbacks I looked at as elite: Mahomes, Brady, and Rodgers. Mm-hmm. And now I would say I would legitimately add Joe Burrow and Josh Allen into that top. I would make that a 5, assuming, Brady is actually still in the league as of this moment. And I think Matthew Stafford has maybe elevated himself to borderline, just a little bit outside of that. Then you got a couple of these young guns who we don't know anything about yet: Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance. There's some potential there for all of those players. I mean, maybe those you can add Jacksonville into that category, B-Lab, that you were just mentioning a second ago, because Joe Burrow's team won 4 games last year, and now they're in the Super Bowl. With the right guidance, Trevor Lawrence maybe can. I'm not saying he's going to the Super Bowl next year, but he can. Jacksonville is on the building, the path to building. Then you got like the so-so quarterbacks, the guys who are kind of inconsistent. And I'm talking Jimmy G and Dak and Matt Ryan and Ryan Tannehill and Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr and Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. Those are guys that you're not really sure of, but you can win. You can win with those guys. You can win some games there. But after that, listen to this list. Tell me which of these quarterbacks make your mouth water. Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Taylor Heineke, Tua, Taysom Hill, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, Jake Locke or Teddy Bridgewater, Rudolph or whoever is playing for Pittsburgh. And that leaves Deshaun Watson kind of out there by himself. He's kind of in his own category. There's been a vacuum created the last couple of years with the departure of Phillip Rivers and Drew Brees and even Eli Manning, now Roethlisberger, possibly Brady, possibly Rodgers. this is a big transition period for the NFL quarterback, and there's not a big stud coming out in the draft this year. So if you need a quarterback right now, this kind of thing is going to make Baker Mayfield have a little bit more value at the negotiating table next year, because there's not a lot of incoming talent behind him, and there's a lot of bad quarterbacks right now in the NFL.
I remember somebody asked me, like, why did you not mention Baker? Because you got Scottie D's positioning list here, and Baker's here. Like, yeah, I just...
Did somebody literally ask you that question when you put this article together about these 5 quarterbacks, and then they wanted you to put Baker in the same category?
No. What it is, it was a joke. It was a joke. That's what.
Oh, okay. I swear for the Lord, I was going to put whoever that was on blast.
Yeah, it was a joke. I mean, if Baker was productive, if Baker was doing what he was supposed to do, then instead of me talking about 5 AFC quarterbacks, I'd be talking about 6 AFC quarterbacks.
Let me ask this. Let me ask this though.
Okay.
I know the focus of this conversation is on these 5 quarterbacks in question. What exactly happened to Baker Mayfield? He was on the cusp of the. He was in that conversation 2 years ago.
You have to. You look at, okay, so Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson, Kevin Stefanski, earlier on in Cleveland, Baker didn't have consistency. Okay, and I think this is the first time in his career where he's actually had consistency. Then you throw in the Odell factor as to where Baker feels like he has to force the ball to Odell and feed him. Like Jarvis Landry is there, but the focal point was trying to get the ball to Odell. But you saw how that turned out. I mean, look at Odell now. He had his first 100-yard game since 2019 or something like that. But that was in the playoffs. And now Odell is about to go to the Super Bowl. Now, when it comes to that Odell and Cleveland situation, now, okay, people are looking at Cleveland like, you just let him get away. And I think it's just for Baker, it was just, other than Jarvis Landry, he doesn't have anybody top flight at wide receiver. And then sometimes Kevin Stefanski's play calling is a little questionable. A little questionable.
I agree with that, but there was a lot of games that Odell was out injured.
True.
And it's not like Baker excelled. He actually did do a little bit better.
I thought he was better without. I thought he was better without.
He was better without Odell, but not elite level, not like these other cats we're talking about. I just think that Baker's limited in some of the throws he's able to make. I just don't think he has. It was like, okay, Justin Herbert in his first game threw for like 300 yards against the Chiefs. He knew an hour ahead of time he was getting a start
on short notice.
Yeah, he didn't know he was going to play the defending AFC champions or Super Bowl champions until an hour before the game, and he went out and dropped 300 on them. That's some natural ability. That's the ability to just go out and get it done on talent. I don't think Baker can make all those kind of throws. It's maybe because he's short in stature or something. He has more difficulty seeing the field over the line. I don't know, but
just for record listeners, Scott does not like short arm quarterbacks, aka Kyler Murray either. It's ridiculous. I have never seen somebody so biased when it comes to stature. He doesn't even like Drew Brees. But Drew Brees has done nothing.
When did I ever say these things?
You didn't, but it just felt good at the time to say. But you know what?
There was a little bit of truth in it. There was a little truth in it. I do think Kyler Murray's height is a hindrance to him. I really do.
Hey, Scottie D made it funny. A little bit true.
I will take a step back, because you know what I realized more than anything when I was speaking a little bit highly of Baker Mayfield? I think his success was more based on the success of the Cleveland Browns defense, because when he was thriving, that defense was stout.
The run game, the whole team was. Not only that, but in comparison to what they have had at quarterback, he looks like a shining stone. He's like a star. They've had a pretty bad track record with quarterbacks. So when he comes along and suddenly he's playing well, and Cleveland is now a playoff team, he looks pretty good. But I think he may have already matched his ceiling.
And I can definitely see that. And so when it comes to Eddy Kool, by the way, you have to read this article. It is a well-written article. Professionally done, better than half the stuff I see on ESPN. And ESPN needs to stop stealing as well. And
stop stealing.
They got to stop doing it. I mean, give us some type of credit. We listen to Sports Bros podcast on the low, and then they try to say, oh, and then they try to use our stuff and say, oh, yeah, we could. No, check the timestamps. Our stuff comes out before they did it. And just because they have shows every day, we just do it once a week. Just check the timestamp. I'm telling you, got some quality material here. But yeah, I will ask this to both of you.
Okay.
Healthy. Who would you pick out of these 5 quarterbacks today? Out of these 5.
Out of them 5. Okay.
Like
the ones he wrote in the article?
The ones in the article. Who would you pick? And this is the way I want to say this. I don't want you to pick this person because of the team that's surrounding them. I want you to pick this quarterback on pure talent alone.
Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert.
You going with Herbert?
Justin Herbert.
Joe Burrow.
I'm doggone it.
I am a fan of Justin Herbert.
Y'all are such a disappointment. Lamar Jackson just terrorizes offenses. I don't care.
And then somebody in a sports group that I posted, they said, well, Lamar has regressed. I mean,
regressed where? He just got hurt this year. He looked perfectly fine until he got hurt. He had no running backs.
I think they were 7-5 before he got hurt, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had 0 running backs. And at some point in time, the Baltimore Ravens were the best team in the AFC with 0 running backs. Come on, bruh. And then he got hurt.
I would still put him 5 out of those 5. He would be my 5th pick. For the simple fact that I've mentioned this before, I think his running sometimes is disruptive to the flow of his offense because his receivers are going out for passes and they're turning around. He's already broken the pocket and he takes off.
He's right
I think
behind
that hurts them sometimes. Yeah. Excuse me. I think that hinders them sometimes.
Their hindrance this year was not their offense. Their defense was like 31st in the league.
Oh, sure, yeah. And
so that's over that. But yeah, that's another thing. And I also like the fact that none of us said Patrick Mahomes. What?
I would have last week, but now that Joe Burrow's beat him 2 weeks in a row,
yeah,
I go Burrow for the simple fact of what we talked about earlier. And I think Mahomes sometimes is he gets a little bit too cute with the football instead of just he's I would say he's the most spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
He'll make a throw that none of us have ever seen before. But sometimes you don't need that throw. You just need to get the ball to Travis Kelce or Tyreek Hill and not dance around the pocket. Sometimes you got to throw the ball away, and that's your best play.
Yeah, as I stated, the reason why I picked Justin Herbert was because the performance he put on last season during Monday Night Football against the Saints. And the Saints, I think the Saints were top 5 in the defense at the time. They had a top 5 defense, and he had 3 touchdowns in the first half in his first ever Monday night game. So Justin Herbert just kept going and going and going and going. I mean, just growing. And if you take a chance, please read my article on Keon Sports Media Group. The link will be in the description box. I found a video as to where I think week 15, the Chargers were on the road against the Giants. And for him to be 6'5" or 6'5", 6'6", Herbert is very mobile. He's mobile. He can move around. He's always looking ahead, not behind him, not beside him. He's always looking ahead, not getting cute. He protects the ball, and I think it was a 50-yard touchdown bomb to Jalen Guyton. I mean, like as soon as he saw the opening, told him where he go. He squared his shoulders and let it go. And I was
He's got a laser. He's got a laser for an arm.
That boy got a damn cannon. That damn Jamar Chase and that damn Justin Herbert. But I will say this though. Fellas, thanks for talking about my article. See, this is support. This is how you support your people. This is how you support your people. You talk about the stuff.
And I think that the support that we're giving Boy, we is crazy as hell. Because like I wanted. Here's the thing. I wanted to put it on the fly because I want the listeners to realize that we do this for fun, especially and stuff like that. I love our analysis. We're fans.
First,
You do realize that the three of us, literally out of the 5 quarterbacks, did not pick Patrick Mahomes and did not pick Josh Allen. Somebody gonna listen to this like, what is wrong?
That's true. And I'll tell you, the only thing
you go wrong. I don't think you can.
The only reason that holds me back on Josh Allen is because I think he's got a major injury in his future because they're designing too many run plays with him, and he's running like a fullback. And eventually, these guys are going to have to take him out of his knees, and he's going to have to learn the hard way to stay in the pocket and not become a running quarterback.
AKA Cam Newton. Yep. Jesus God. Yeah. Josh Allen, please just look at Cam Newton's career.
Yeah.
If you just take a step back, you can make better. You can make better throws than Cam Newton,
and he can throw the ball too.
That's what I'm saying. Josh Allen can zing the ball. That's what I'm like. Just take just a slight step back. Y'all be just fine. Josh Allen can literally carry a team on his entire back, just as capable as Lamar Jackson did. And this was one of those things. His team was a little bit healthier. And God forbid that 13-second comeback with Kansas City, we'd be having an entire different conversation right now. But man, So I still believe in the reason why I believe in Lamar Jackson as much as I do. It's one of those things where he gives defensive coordinators nightmares, and it's just a matter of
what can we do to stop him?
Right. It almost like you can't scheme for this guy because he can do literally the stuff that you don't think he can do. He can make those throws, but he doesn't have to. But if you put him in that position, watch me work. You've seen Lamar Jackson do it where they'll stack the box on him and he'll drop. Shoot. He's made Mark Andrews one of the best tight ends in the league. I think they're one wide receiver one playmaker away from being a Super Bowl team again. If you bring those running backs back healthy,
Antonio Brown.
No.
I was about to say it, Scott. I was gonna get him. I was gonna get him.
No, I don't know. Don't do that. But I know that story's out there.
But while B-Live has a headache, I'll finish the story for him. you bring that whole running back staff back. You get that one playmaker on and wide receiver. It's a whole different team. And Buffalo. Hey, establish your run game. Take pressure off Josh Allen so he wanted to think he's Cam Newton. All right. And speaking of a whole different topic, Cooperstown, baseball, Barry Bonds. Nope, he didn't make it. What are your thoughts about what's going on now with Major League Baseball, who's still in a freaking lockout as far as the Hall of Fame goes?
Scottie D, please go ahead. This is you right here. I'm gonna piggyback off of you, but this is you right here because I know. Ooh. I know you got it.
It brought me to a boil last week whenever I saw that Barry Bonds once again did not get in and Roger Clemens did not get in. And you can't tell the story of baseball without the guy who won the most Cy Youngs ever and the guy who hit the most home runs ever, and for that matter, the guy who has the most hits ever. None of those guys in the Hall of Fame. And to tell me that the Barry Bonds isn't getting in, you're telling me that because of the steroid controversy, and then you elect David Ortiz, who for years toiled in the Twins system and couldn't get out of the gate, and then suddenly he gets to Boston and starts hitting the ball out of the yard the same year that his name shows up on the list of steroid users. So it's become a personal thing for Major League Baseball writers when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Now keep in mind, he had to get 75% of the vote, and he got almost 70, I think. So a lot of the writers are starting to come around to the fact that we should have Bonds in. And I heard one of the guys on Major League Baseball Network say if he had 5 more years of eligibility, he probably would get in. Now it's up to the Veterans Committee to put him in. If you're going to tell me that you're going to punish him for steroids, then you can't let Jeff Bagwell, and Pudge Rodriguez and David Ortiz and Mike Piazza and possibly even Ricky Henderson, some of these other guys whose numbers had big offensive spikes at one point in their career, and not put in Barry Bonds. You're not being fair. You're not telling the whole story. You're singling out two guys, really, Clemens and Bonds. And eventually A-Rod, he's probably going to never make it either for the same thing. However, A-Rod was a repeat offender who got suspended for like 2 years for the steroid use. And Bonds at the time was not, there was no like illegal substance list when Bonds was back. That wasn't going on at the time. Obviously, we know that Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, all these guys use performance enhancers, but the whole league did. The whole league was using them back then. All of baseball was using them. And you know what? Bud Selig accepted that because the Major League Baseball lockout that canceled the World Series in 1994 killed that league. Mm-hmm. And whenever these guys started hitting the ball out of the yard, Bud Selig didn't want to know why this was suddenly happening. He just let it go on. And he's in the Hall of Fame. Bud Selig's in the Hall of Fame. So is that right? That the guy who oversaw the steroid era, he gets in the Hall of Fame, but the guys who supposedly were using them or even were using, they're not in. You know, I think it's time the baseball just accepts that was the era, and let's roll with it. And put Pete Rose in there too. Come on. I mean, enough's enough. I think the baseball writers, some of them still have that old school mentality. And like I said, if you want to tell me we're keeping all cheaters out, then you can't justify having David Ortiz go in on the first ballot because he was nice and he laughed and he's Big Papi and he's the big huggable teddy bear and all that good stuff. And by the way, Curt Schilling had a pretty good case too. And because of his right-wing conservative outspoken views, he didn't even have he had no shot. So the leftist media in sports also shoved him off to the side as well. I don't like it. I think those guys are Hall of Famers, and we're not telling the full story of baseball by keeping those kind of guys out. Go ahead, Be Live. I said what I said.
I'm just going to throw this out here. It's not necessarily like I hate the fact that this steroid era has been. It is what it is at this point. It was one of those things where it was not taken care of when it happened initially, et cetera, and then it's put a big stain on what I'm going to go ahead and say. This is my childhood. This is me growing up. I grew up to the back. I grew up to Sammy Sosa versus Mark McGuire. That was one of the most exciting baseball seasons ever. And I don't care. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't care. Baseball has had scandals all throughout its history, dating back to just all throughout. Baseball
is the dirtiest cheating league there is.
God,
yeah,
so
baseball has never been an honest sport.
But I'm gonna say this because Scottie D illuminated me to this fact right here. David Ortiz is the only person that was elected into the Hall of Fame this year by the voters. They're going to have a few more by the Veterans Committee, et cetera, et cetera. He was the only one that was voted in. He was also found guilty of steroid use. I'm going to put this out here. Barry Bonds, steroid use, everybody understands that. Before Barry Bonds' steroid use, for the most part, documented, et cetera, et cetera, Barry Bonds was an 8-time Gold Glove Award winner. Something that David Ortiz will never have.
True.
Not even close. Barry Bonds was a two-way player. People completely forgot about that. Before his alleged steroid use, he was an 8-time Gold Glove winner and a 7-time Silver Slugger winner. This is before his steroid use.
And he stole hundreds of bases. He was a base stealer in the early days in Pittsburgh, and multiple MVPs before he ever hit 70 home runs.
Barry Bonds, he was a Hall of Famer well before this whole steroid thing. So the fact that you're putting the stain on Barry Bonds, but you won't put it on David Ortiz, and David Ortiz was a one-way, part-time, no offense to designated hitters, part-time, only half the league uses them, And it's awkward as heck when you're in the World Series or in these interleague games where the National League has to just come up with a designated hitter. But I ain't mad at it because my Atlanta Braves won. You know what I'm saying? We did that thing, did what it do. But that's a whole nother thing. Fear to chop for the A. Chop on, yes, sir. It really disturbs the heck out of me, the fact that David Ortiz made it in first ballot over Barry Bonds. And that right there shows you how flawed the voting system is. See, it's based on emotion at this point. It's based on how you feel as a voter, as a baseball writer. And the baseball writers they should be ashamed. Mm-hmm. They don't like them. So these people that have opinion, and half of them that haven't even played the game, the other half are haters. I'm gonna go ahead and let me just pull this one out real quick because I gotta do this. Doug Glanville wrote this article. He's a baseball analyst for ESPN.
Played for the Phillies
and a former player. Yeah. Yep.
I read this article, and I'm gonna steal this from the Dave Chappelle show. Hate. Because this is one part he said right here. I saw how far a ball flew, and like so many of us, I suspended disbelief. It was like watching a good horror movie before we knew how wrong things could go. Over time, a cloud of doubt seeped into clubhouses. Suspicion about whether that teammate beating you out is playing fair. You knew what was going on. Don't sit back here now. 50, 60, 70, 15 years after, or longer, I'm sorry, 20, 25, 26, 27 years, sit here and try to tell me you didn't know what was going on in the clubhouse.
Oh, you didn't know it. He knew it.
Come on. That right there is something I don't believe. It was widespread throughout the entire Major League Baseball program. What you do, this is what you do. Major League Baseball, come out and fully admit that you as a corporation, as an entity, as a whole, did not handle this whole process correctly.
They didn't.
Don't punish those that just, hey, guess what? They still played better. They were going against juice pitchers. They were going against, and don't punish. Barry Bonds is being punished because people don't like him. His stats. Take away
to your point, be like, I'm sorry, but
go ahead.
A point you mentioned earlier, though, I wanted to address. You said he was a Hall of Famer with all those numbers before he ever his numbers inflated into the homers and the multiple walks and all that. And I think that's a very valid point. But the people that are voting against him are saying that would be, you're right, but I'm punishing him because he cheated. He's not allowed in because his character, because of the cheating. And to that I said, then don't let any of these guys in. Just because Ortiz's name was on the list, and so is Pudge, and Jeff Bagwell's name was on the list, but his body blew up. His body got huge. Ortiz's first 40 home run season, he was 28. He never hit the ball before he was 28. So come on, let's not just sweep that under the rug and say Barry Bonds cheated. He cheated. I know he cheated. And
Ortiz on this ballot, and I'm not. Let me get this perfectly straight. I'm not taking away anything from David Ortiz's career. He is an icon. He redefined the designated hitter role without question. I'm not trying to downplay his career. Mm-hmm. But this voting this year clearly was, they found the best name that was on that ballot. And it was like, this is here you go. Because we do not want this one, and this one to make it in. They picked somebody, they said, I'm just going to go with him, knowing well in their mind. Because nobody else made it in. Only one person made it in. That means the vote was so divisive.
Yep.
And they couldn't even come to a conclusion of like, these are the best players on this ballot, and let's put them in. There was 30% of the voters, 35% of the voters said, we don't want Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame because he cheated and I don't like it.
Yep.
It's not based on the stats. It's not based on merit. It's based off of your feelings and nothing. It's just.
I don't need any of that to tell me that Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player that I ever laid my eyes on. No, I don't need the Hall of Fame for that. I know what I saw. I saw a guy who could do it all and had a remarkable eye for the strike zone, not chasing bad pitches. Excuse me. And he's just simply the best I've ever seen.
And
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and the thing about Barry Bonds, didn't they say he could see the stitching of the ball or whatever or something?
Yeah. And steroid. The thing about this is
that ain't no damn steroids.
Right. That's exactly what I was about to say. That right there, his ability to put bat on ball
and get it over there.
Yeah. All it did was to say he built a little bit extra muscle mass, but that didn't mean that it enhanced his overall stats that much. It just meant he hit more home runs.
Yep. And
his batting average went down when he started using steroids.
Yeah. and I will say this, as a member of the media influence is real. Just like, as you said with Kurt Schilling, what he said about, the whole everything gets politicized when it shouldn't. We talk about sports. Let's stick to what's on the field. Bloody sock Kurt Schilling was a dog, was the best at it. And then, just like you guys said, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa took a dead ass sport and brought it back to life. And I think the media has too much, the baseball media especially, has entirely too much influence on not only each other, but also the game as well, too. And I just think that you have to separate your personal feelings from the actual talent, because Barry, he didn't like the media. He was not a media kind of guy, because when it comes to the media, what they want to do is showcase the best. As you said, there's Big Papi, the smile, the this, the that, the old bubbly character. But like Scottie D said, he toiled in Minnesota for a very long time. No one talks about that. I remember when he played in Minnesota and then he went to Boston. The next thing you know, he became Big Papi. It's the fact that the baseball writers have entirely way too much influence and the personal feelings. Okay, baseball is a jaded sport. Let's talk about the Black Sox scandal. Okay, the pine tar situation now. Sammy Sosa had a cork bat. Baseball is one of the Houston Astros.
Yeah,
the baseball is one of those sports. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And just as both of you have stated, come clean, baseball. It's the classic case of everybody knows the truth but you. But fellas, with that being said, guess what time it is?
Give it to me, baby.
What's happening? What's going on?
Oh, I'm glad both of y'all's asked. It is time for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, Button, hit it.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman, the choices of the voices. She ain't lying. We love this segment. Especially when I'm putting this show together, here, that's where the names are. When I put the show together, I'm like, what have our listeners have in store for us this week? And with that being said, Scottie D, hit us in the face. What's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
Wow, this question last week, a lot has happened since I asked this question. The question was, between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, which of those two is most likely to be back on the same team next year, or both, or neither? And all kind of stuff has been going on when it comes to these two gentlemen since last Tuesday. Eddy Kool, to you here.
Between one person kind of sort of retiring, one person we don't know where he's going, and then Big Ben is like, I'm done. All right. So here we go. All right. JR says both of them, Brady and Rodgers, because of ego, and Rodgers because no one is going to pay him the money he wants. So he says both of them going to be gone.
Did he say both are going to be gone or both back on their team?
I'm sorry. Both will be.
We don't know.
We don't know. He don't know. We don't know.
It sounds like he wants to say both are going to stay.
Both are going to stay.
Yeah, that's what I got from it too. Yeah.
Yeah, both are going to be safe.
And once again, JR, you had 2 weeks of good takes, and then you bring it back with this. Are you sitting here telling me that nobody's going to pay Aaron Rodgers the money that he wants? You are out of your mind.
It's a sucker born every minute. It's a sucker born every minute.
There's at least 6 franchises out there that will pay Aaron Rodgers money to come play for them right now. One in particular. Denver will do whatever it takes. They're
dying to get him out there.
Literally.
They got a blank check out there for him.
They hired this man with 0 head coaching experience just because he was the offensive coordinator for Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Hey, come be our head coach. Just bring Rodgers with you. You don't have to say it like that, but just play, hey, Rodgers, come with, we got you. Trust and believe. Teams will pay for him. Yeah, so I get it, Smooth. I get it, JR. Good point, well taken.
Yeah,
but you're wrong. All right, yes, sir.
I can see John Elway in the meeting now. John, you got anything to say? You know what the hell to do. And he gets up and leaves the meeting for real. All right, we got our friend to the show, Hunter Samboli. He says Brady has shown no displeasure to my knowledge with Tampa Bay. If he stays in the league, which he should, he'll stay in Tampa.
And that answer was answered before the chaos of the breaking news on Saturday. Yeah. As I believe most of these questions were answered before the
pre-announcement.
The Brady announcement on Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Tom Wynn, he says if both teams want to win, one more time, both should stay put. There isn't a current franchise that is a better spot for these goals that needs a quarterback.
Okay. He likes them both to stay put?
Yeah, both stay put. Okay, understand. Okay. All right. Shout out to Tom Wynn. He's a suffering Browns fan. But shout out to Tom Wynn. All right. Winner, chicken dinner. The Hall of Famer himself, Uncle Max. He says Rodgers gets traded to Denver for salary cap reasons and Brady retires. So Max Stradamus.
That's a nice looking prediction right there. Again, that was answered before. That was answered before the Denver hire and before the Brady announcement.
Be Live, I got a feeling you might want to screenshot Uncle Max's answer and save it for the future.
Right. Yeah. That might be spot on.
Yeah, that might be spot on. All right. Trade Dizzle. Here we go, y'all. Brady and Rodgers both retired. He said to help both of them. He said, you heard it here first from Trey Dizzle, the man himself. Then in a year, we trade Dak Prescott to the Saints for Sean Payton and Aaron Rodgers to be the quarterback. Super Bowl. Okay, so here we go. Sean Payton stepped down. Okay. And Brady kind of sort of retired. And Aaron Rodgers, he's just wearing a man bun with his girlfriend in Hawaii. But go ahead, Be Live.
I'm gonna go ahead and just throw this out there. Trey Duke, love your comedy, love your antics, but penalty box because you contradicted yourself in your own statement. Because you said Brady and Rodgers both retire. So Rodgers retires, and then
the Cowboys
comes back, and then the Cowboys sign him. That's not how. That's not how contracts work. He won't be allowed to do so. No. So, I mean, I think if anything, if he does retire and then decides to come back, he have to sit out for the remainder of his contract before that even comes into play or something like that.
Either that or somebody buys he get bought out or something.
I say he can't play for another team while he's still under contract. He can retire. But he can't play. Yeah, so that's Trey Dizzle. Nice try, but penalty box. Cut it out. I know you hate Dak Prescott that much, But Lord, he wants Mike McCarthy out. He wants Sean Payton in. That's a whole nother story within itself. Just stay tuned. I'll get back to that in just a moment. Trey Dizzle.
All right, so here we go. We got Kurt Malloy. Kurt Malloy says Brady, he's a competitor 100 times. And Rodgers, he changes teams. So anybody keep a score, Scotty? You keep a score, Scotty D? What we got?
No, I'm not keeping score on this.
All right.
That's cool.
We're all over the place on this.
all over the place. We have an Amtrak in a little bit, so here we go. Mark Olds, he says, I just saw this post. He said, I bet you that Brady will retire. Once again, this was before Saturday.
That one was after.
It was after? It was after. All right.
This was a tongue-in-cheek one right here.
Yep. Oh, and I forgot to mention Scottie D. Tom Wynn, he came back, he said, Brady still might have a surprise up his sleeve. At a minimum, he'll sign with the Pats and retire the next day. But I'm going out on a limb all by myself, he says in quotations, that he is done in Tampa Bay, but going to do one more somewhere else. It was a 2-year deal.
That I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah.
All by myself. I think that's another tongue-in-cheek where this was after the announcement came out. And we'll talk about the announcement in just a moment because I have a good feeling that a 4-letter network might have jumped the gun. But I'm just going to say that. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this also as well because I'm just that type of dude. I'm ready at this point in time. I know we might have 20 to 30 listeners while that 4-letter network is worldwide and everywhere and might be considering themselves the worldwide leader in sports and everything. I'm willing to take y'all on toe to toe. I think our content, our entertainment level, what we do here at the Sports Bros podcast, I'm ready to take y'all head on. Stephen A., you ain't got nothing on me. Yeah, you got a thesaurus. That's the best thing you got is a thesaurus next to your booth and a long forehead. You got a bigger forehead than the head of creative. My bad. I couldn't resist that.
Woo.
You starting off February wrong. Be like, it's Black History Month. No black on black violence. Cut it out.
No, it is January 31st. I know we are recording. We're recording on the 31st. Tomorrow we're gonna love each other right now. It doesn't. I'm just playing.
Knock you out. But yeah. I defy anybody. Well, yeah, as Beli said, we put up some good stuff. Share it, like it. Your mama, the people that's sure, the one that's not so sure. But anyway, shout out to JR, Hunter, Tom, 2 times, Uncle Max, Kurt Malloy, Mark Olds, Trey Dizzle for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. I'm gonna go ahead and go first because y'all know how I do this. Even though an announcement was made, it wasn't official. I need to hear it from the man's mouth himself. I think somehow, some way, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. Somehow, some way, that Tom, Edward, Patrick, Carmichael, Gerald, Andrew,
Scott,
Brian, Lamar, Terrence, Deshaun, Brady, the Order of Canada comes back to the NFL. Because how in the hell, statistically wise, this is the second time you've passed for 5,000 yards in your career. And you led the league in passing touchdowns. He was efficient. He threw for 43 freaking touchdowns. I honestly don't think that this is the way that he wanted to go out because had Antonio Brown would have did what he's supposed to do. First of all, I'm gonna say it's about Antonio Brown. Whether we want to admit it or not, we all live vicariously through Antonio Brown because that's how you quit a job right there. But anyways, if Antonio Brown had his head straight, Godwin was not hurt, and Mike Evans doing Mike Evans stuff, I think we would be talking about a different NFC Championship game. Because the Rams could only do but so much with all 3 of these guys healthy. Yes, you got Von Miller and Leonard Floyd and Eric Weddle, fresh up off the couch, and Jalen Ramsey. But the fact of the matter is, it's just that damn Tom, you just can't count Tom Brady out. You just can't. But then again, maybe I'm just in my own head. I don't know. What say you, Scottie D?
Well, when I wrote this question last week, when I asked this question, my answer was going to be they will both be back with the teams that they were on this past year. That was before the hire, the guy, I forget the guy's name. The offensive coordinator went to Denver from the Packers.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Hackett, yeah. Before he went there, that path seems to be taking Aaron Rodgers to Denver, but I'm not convinced that that's a done deal just yet. I don't know that the Packers are going to be willing to let go of him just yet. The Packers have to figure out if they're going to tear down and start over. And they have with Devontae Adams also, his contract being up, it feels like Aaron Rodgers is kind of making that a package deal. Like he if he's coming back, he needs Devontae with him. And I don't know that Green Bay is going to be willing to go all in on that, considering Rodgers is getting up there in years. I also wouldn't put it past the 49ers to get in the mix when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, because I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be gone. They're going to save like $23 million by letting Garoppolo go. Who knows if Trey Lance is even any good? And if they have a chance to get Rodgers, that was his favorite team as a kid. I don't know. I know there's already been a phone call made about that in the past, and that kind of put a strain on the relationship between coaches. We'll see. But I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to be back in Green Bay. I just kind of do. I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to come back, and I think Green Bay is where he's going to be. Now, Tom Brady, now there's an article on ESPN on Monday evening where Brady is saying, I'm day-to-day on this. I don't know. I haven't made an announcement yet. I'm still thinking about it. When I know, I'll know. I think that he kind of led on to some people in his own circle, and they let it slip. And I don't think that's right. I think Tom Brady's really mad right now because maybe he was ready to announce this, but it got out ahead of him. At this point, he might be just mad enough to say, I'm going to play 5 more years. So
just because
people are doubting him again. Yeah, we're doubting Brady again.
Brett Favre did it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But he didn't do it as well as this guy does. This
Exactly.
guy still had an incredible season. He's still at the top of his game. But Shannon Sharp on his show picked up on something where Brady said that he was, if this is it, I'm satisfied. And he said, I'd never heard Brady use that kind of expression before. Usually when a competitor at that level says they're satisfied, it means they're not quite as the fire is not quite there as much. I honestly, like I said last week when I started this conversation, I thought that Brady was going to play 1 more year and then retire. I thought he was going to play out the contract. I still think he's going to retire. Be live.
I'm going to preface what my choice with something I need to address the media with. Not everything needs to be a hot take. Certain stories should just let it be told. If anybody in any profession, a sports profession, should be able to write his own ticket, it is Tom Brady. There should be nobody trying to get the upper hand and get the first story and breaking news and all this stuff. It should be a press conference that Tom Brady schedules, invites who he wants to invite, and that's when he says exactly what he's going to do. If he chooses to do it in a press conference, if he chooses to take a charter flight to New England to go see some friends up there, there should be a story saying that, Tom Brady's headed to New England, possibly to say that he's going to retire. What good? What good does it do at this point in time? Is it clickbait? Is this the media situation that we're in right now, that we literally just put headlines as clickbait and we make money off of our clicks because of advertisers, and that's exactly how the world exists right now? People don't read articles anymore. They look at headlines.
Mm-hmm.
They click on it.
But didn't his people do this though? Wasn't there a tweet that came from like his camp or his his company or something that let the cat out of the bag?
They said
deleted.
They said there was a tweet that was on his pro page, whatever, his pro player page, whatever. But shortly after it got leaked, it got deleted. And like they said, they asked his dad, he was like, I don't know nothing about that. And the Tampa Bay GM said, well, that's news to me. So it's just like it's messy. But go ahead, be like.
And see, here's the thing, that's basically coming back to the main point that I want to make. Certain people should be allowed. This story right here shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Somebody sent out a tweet from Tom Brady's camp that he said that he thinks that he might. What does that even mean? Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, he should be allowed to do whatever media outlet he wants to go through. If he wants to go through social media, Instagram, he wants to do it this way or that way, he should be allowed to be like, boom, this is what we're going to do. Mm-hmm. I would like to do it this way. People want such a hot take and everything. Hey, if we have the budget, shoot, let's send JR for this mission right here for the Sports Bros podcast. We'll buy you the tickets to follow around Tom Brady wherever he goes to figure out when he's going to make that announcement. JR, that's your job now. But that's what the media outlets. They literally have round the clock like Tom Brady watch. Let that be the outlet. So do you
think he's playing possum now? Like right now, do you think he's playing possum just to quiet this down, and then he's going to make this announcement anyway? Do you think he'll go back and play for Tampa Bay?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's what the question was.
Yeah, the question before this happened, my answer was this: Tom Brady is going to retire. Before the announcement.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is going to play one more year in Green Bay because here's the thing, again, Green Bay still holds the cards. Right. Aaron Rodgers, he has two choices. He plays for Green Bay or he retires. Green Bay can opt to trade him.
True.
So that's why
I think he's going back there.
Yeah, he's going to go back. And he's going to play one more year. And then at that point in time, he's going to have the option to be a free agent. And he's going to be at 41, 42, and probably try to go the route that Tom Brady is doing right now. And I think Aaron Rodgers wants to do that. I don't know. Or he may with his fiance, he wants to do what he was doing last summer. I don't know. Whatever he did this past summer and got immunized and everything, it seemed to work out somewhat well for him because he still ended up being in the playoffs. Number 1 seed, even though they lost their first game. But he outdueled a lot of quarterbacks out there. Mm-hmm. So let's just let some stories be some stories. I could talk about this for days, but yeah. Tom Brady, I'm play possum. Let this die down. I would say sometime after the Super Bowl, it won't be so much of a story. It was silly anyway for it to come out this time anyway. It's a distraction for some.
I hope he walks out with Snoop Dogg at halftime or Dre or whoever's out there and just be like, I'm out.
That would be
Brady out. Yeah, just announce the Super Bowl halftime show.
That would be it. Damn the game. Tom Brady just announced his retirement.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Would that be crazy? And they wouldn't even talk about the second half. They'd be like, yo, Brady's out there where he passed that blunt to Snoop and then he said, I'm out.
Yeah, that'll be the lead topic on the next edition of the Sports Bros podcast. There's a game called the Super Bowl, but let's talk about the halftime show. Tom Brady came up there and had some of that Cali Kush green eyes already and said, I'm done.
The game is in LA, the second straight home game for a Super Bowl.
Yep.
That's pretty good. The 5,000-yard record passing yard is falling. And now that stat with that's another one falling too, which kind of makes me wonder, like, what else is going to fall next in the world of professional sports? All right, it's been it for another edition of Choices of the Voice. Before we scoot up out of here and give you a round of pepper, Scottie D, what's on tap for next week?
All right, we're going to do this is going to be a Choices of the Voices first. We're going to give 2 questions next week. All right, so the first one, we're going to stay on topic here with the Super Bowl. When you think of Super Bowl blunders, what comes to mind? There have been many great plays in Super Bowl history. There's also been some not so great stuff that happened, even stuff that happened like maybe around the game and not during the game, Super Bowl blunders. That one we will be discussing. And also, the Winter Olympics are kicking off this weekend. I believe the opening ceremonies are Friday. What Winter Olympic sport do you look forward to watching? Two different questions. I'll put it two different. We're not going to be on one post on Facebook. They'll be on two different posts. I'll do that 2 times. So number one, when you think of Super Bowl blunders, what comes to your mind? And what a Winter Olympic sport are you looking forward to watching here in 2022 in Beijing? That, Eddy Kool, will give us lots to talk about next week.
We get a double dose of the choices of the voices. With that being said,
feature.
Yep, double feature. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another edition of the Choices of the Voices. And we'll see you next week for another edition of the Choices of the Voices. Thank you.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard a woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go and leave, we're going to round the bases one time with a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, 3 noteworthy topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really here to engage, enlighten, educate, and entertain. Because that's what we do on Pepper and Sports Bros podcast. Keep you engaged, enlightened, and entertained. With that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1950, all right, Green Bay Packers founder, player, coach Curly Lambeau resigns after 31 seasons and 6 NFL titles to his credit. So Curly Lambeau did a whole lot for that organization. He founded, he played for it, he ran the organization. That's the reason why Lambeau Field is Lambeau Field, and they probably will never change it. Over to you, Scottie D.
So it was named after him, you think?
Might have been.
All right. So in the early days of our podcast, I was living in Myrtle Beach working at Beast Ninja. It was the gym that we did like the American Ninja Warrior type of training and, all that good stuff. Anyway, in October of a few years ago, Craig Burns came down. We have Craig Burns that from time to time has checked in on our podcast and answers our Choices of the Voices question. Him and his family were down from the Boston area, and his older son, James, really took to this Ninja Warrior stuff. And this kid was incredible. He was really good. And, I was so impressed watching this kid just kind of fly around our gym. Well, now, I don't know how he did it or how you go about doing it, but he is now qualified for the American Ninja Warrior competition. And they were going to begin filming in San Antonio on the 20th of March that weekend. And if he does well enough, he'll be moving on to Las Vegas. I'm not sure what season this is coming up of American Ninja Warrior, but that TV show that franchise has been around quite a while now. So it's quite an honor for this kid to even get this far into the process of American Ninja Warrior. So I just wanted to give a shout out to James Burns and Craig. Congratulations. Thanks for supporting our podcast. And we're going to be looking for James on the American Ninja Warrior show. We'll keep you updated as I hear anything. Be Live, over to you.
All right. Oh, you always got to love a good feel-good story. And then I come in just to ruin it all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, of course. That's what I do.
Be Live, you ruined everything.
But yeah, this right here, this is such a hot take. I decided to do something I haven't done before. This is quoted straight from the man's mouth. We've heard all the stories about Sean Payton stepping away from their Saints job. Some say he's retiring, some say he's just stepping away, taking a rest, taking a breather. And there's been a lot of talk, a lot to say about it and how people feel about Sean Payton and his career and what he means to New Orleans, everything, what he's going to do after blah, blah, blah. One of our listeners, however, has a very, very, I will say, a spirited opinion about Sean Payton and him stepping down. And I quote from our very own Sammy Smokes. Sean Payton is moving on. Sean Payton should have been banned from sports years ago. He was suspended 1 season for paying bounties aimed at delaying or ending young men's careers by injury. Shame on the NFL and shame on the Players Union for allowing his career to continue. Every single Saints coach and every single Saints player that was aware of the bounty should have been banned from sports for life. New Orleans probably shouldn't even have a team post 2011. If you're thinking the owner was unaware, I have some magic beans I think you should buy. Shame on the NFL Players Association for not boycotting every NFL game until this issue was resolved. They knew they existed an apparatus designed to injure their peers to potentially cure career-ending results, and it was dismissed. The anti-concussion campaign by the NFLPA is laughable after the Saints bounty scandal was shrugged off. And that's all I have to say about that. Whoo! Sammy Smokes coming with the fire. And as a Panthers fan, I could care less about Sean Payton. I did not like anything about the bounty scandal. Even though he didn't pay the players directly, he knew about it. Greg Williams was the one that orchestrated the players participating and everything. These are somewhat extreme, but basically saying in short terms, miss me with all the BS when it comes to this whole legacy and tribute to Sean Payton and his career. Eddy Kool, the ball.
All right, B-Live, that was a good one. Good, I don't want to call it a poem. Hot take reading. Yeah. He just chews your ass out, Sean Payton, just to let you know. While we're in the Butte, Louisiana, news broke today, according to Pete Thamel of ESPN, the senior college writer, and I quote, "A source tells ESPN that Grambling State University is set to announce a name, image, and likeness deal for all of its scholarship student athletes. Where every Grambling athlete receives annual income for their NIL deal. This deal is believed to be the first of its kind." All right. Thamel later on Twitter goes on to say, the income amount is unclear right now. All right. Companies like the Urban Edge Network and Athlete to provide income for all Grambling scholarship athletes. Okay, got a source for the money. Good. And in closing, he says, this should help new Grambling football coach Hugh Jackson as he starts to build the Grambling program. This could be a big damn deal for college football and a bigger deal for HBCU, colleges and universities, because Grambling for a while, they haven't always had the best as far as like facilities and everything. Does it level the playing field? Does it stir controversy? I don't know. We shall see. But if this is where we're going in college football, get ready for an even playing field. Over to you, Scottie D.
Slippery slope. All right, so getting back to the Sean Payton thing, which, by the way, in regards to that Bountygate thing, that has led to a new Netflix movie called Home Team. Have you guys heard about this?
I haven't.
Kevin James is playing Sean Payton in this movie. I have a hard time seeing Kevin James as Sean Payton. Haven't seen it yet, but evidently it had something to do with Sean Payton's year away, where he was helping coach his kids' football team. And I hope I didn't say that wrong, because I really haven't seen it yet. But anyway, but getting back to that story. So evidently in 2019, Jerry Jones, before hiring Coach McNuggets here, Mike McCarthy, he had a deal in place to get Sean Payton to Dallas. It's being reported that the general manager, was it Mayock? I don't remember. Loomis, one of them guys, one of those nut jobs, was the general manager of both the New Orleans Saints and the New Orleans Pelicans. And LeBron wanted Anthony Davis, and he got him. And so he said, I can't lose another Saints icon or another New Orleans sports icon at the same time. So he kept Sean Payton for the simple fact that he couldn't lose Anthony Davis and Sean Payton at the same time. And he would have probably his life would have been destroyed losing both of those guys. Having said that, Cowboys fans are clamoring for the idea of getting Sean Payton, the guy whose last Super Bowl was won before Mike McCarthy won his Super Bowl. So Sean Payton had all those years, 15 seasons, 16 years in New Orleans with Drew Brees, who threw for more receptions, yards, and touchdowns than any quarterback ever. He won one Super Bowl. Why do we want this guy so bad? He's going to be 60. Look at the age of these coaches that are in the Super Bowl this year. They're like 25 years old. Let's get a good young quarterback, Cowboys. Jerry Jones, do better. Do better. Be live, over to you.
Oh, you know what? I appreciate good segues.
I love it.
I really, really do. Because when Scottie D mentions about the young head coaches that are in the Super Bowl, my next pepper point is about one of them. But in a completely different faction. Sean McVay. He has led Rams back to the Super Bowl, and as Scottie D has alluded, he's very young. I want to say, what, he's 35, 36?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's also someone of age. He's no longer in the league, but at one point in time in life, these two were considered peers. Back in 2003, there was discussion and talks about who was the Georgia High School Player of the Year. And in 2003, Sean McVay was elected that distinguished honor in 2003. Can you take a wild guess who he beat out that year in high school? That I don't think you'll believe it. Just a wild guess. Georgia High School, 2003. Sean McVay was the player. Yeah.
Matt Stafford?
No.
Megatron.
Boom. Sean McVay was, in the eyesight of the voters, better at football than Johnson. Megatron. And Calvin Johnson only did all the things that he did. Sean McVay never even played in the league, but at some point in time, there was a lot of people in the state of Georgia that thought Sean McVay was better at football than Calvin Johnson. Eddy Kool, the ball.
Huh?
I still got another pepper point. You thought that was a crazy
one? Anyways, third and final pepper. 6'5", 240, any damn ways. As most of you know, I'm splitting double duty or triple duty or quadruple duty between a job, the podcast, being a sports writer, and my latest endeavor, a color commentary basketball guy for WOBL radio. All right. To let you know that you will be getting a triple dose of me on your airwaves if you're up here in the Northeast Ohio area. If you want to listen to me, download the WOBL app, the Gold Country app, and I'll provide that link in the description box as well too. This week, Dave Rivera and I we will be covering Clearview at Blackwater on Friday night, the boys basketball game. Then the very next day, we'll be covering Black River at the Firelands girls basketball team as well too. And I covered a girls basketball game earlier this year, and it was so exciting to watch. The girls play a great game of basketball. If you want to watch some good basketball, watch girls basketball. They get at it, they play, they're real technical, they're real sound. So your boy Eddy Kool, aka Edwin Vereen, will be on WOBL. So I got a busy week ahead of me. Over to you, Scottie D.
Right. Keep grinding, baby. Keep pounding. Keep pounding. That I'm gonna use that phrase and patent that phrase. Keep pounding. I like that. All right. Speaking of pounding, maybe I'll use how about them Cowboys? I like that one too. So this past weekend, this past Saturday night, for those of you who are wrestling fans, was the Royal Rumble. And the night before the Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar was out at a restaurant with a cast of Jackass, and he slammed Wee Man through a table. He put him through a table. I really don't have anything else to say about this other than go watch it. It was great. Brock Lesnar put Wee Man through a table. That's about as good as it gets. Be Live, over to you.
Oh my goodness. The Royal Rumble. God, I love segues. This is perfect. Because what I come to report to you as my third and final pepper point, you've come to realize that I bring the ridiculous to it. And this is a rumble of its very own. And this is what a time to be alive. So let's start off with a little premise. I want to go ahead and congratulate Holly Tillman and Estela Nunez. Want to congratulate them on winning the $5,000 purse and being the first ever men and women's PFC champion at the PFC Pound Down pay-per-view. Now you want to ask, what in the world is PFC?
What the hell? Be like, what the hell is it?
For the first time ever in the year 2022, PFC has come to light, and PFC stands for Pillow Fight Championship.
Wow. What took us so long? What took us so long?
Pillow fighting has become a professional sport. It highlights and pay-per-view was shown by Fight TV, and
I hate that I missed that.
And so yeah, just
I'm looking at the website now.
the website, if you want to go check out, is fightpfc.com. It has all the late breaking news of the Pillow Fight Championship and the inaugural pay-per-view Pound Down. Keep pounding. No, you cannot use that phrase.
Oh,
Fight
they're
PFC.
in the squared circle too. They're in an actual ring.
They got a damn red, white, and blue logo with some gal with pigtails swinging a pillow.
I could see me becoming a fan. This is going to be. I'd rather watch this than the USFL.
Oh man,
or the XFL.
Here's the thing. I know it's pepper, and I know we're about to get up out of here, but I'm gonna give you a little extra pepper. But I had to bring that. Yes, fightpfc.com Pillow Fight Championship. This is not a drill. I cannot make this up. But in real fighting MMA, I am proud to present this. After a little bit of an injury, on February 5th, UFC Fight Night, we've got Charlotte's very own Brian Pooh Bear Battle will be going into the ring with our very own Horry County, North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, our very own Trayshawn, Mr. Vicious Gore.
Boo Hill! Boo Hill! We're on the map, baby. Yeah.
Will be on ESPN UFC Fight Night, February 5th. Man, oh man, we wish you the best of luck. Trayshawn Gore comes in this battle, 4 wins, 0 losses. Brian Battle comes in with 7 wins with 1 loss. I will definitely be glued to the TV for
All
this.
Right. Yes.
So
looking forward to watching that.
He from my neighborhood. I watched him when he grew up. When he was at his grandma's house, there was a punching bag hanging from the tree, and we was like, what the hell was going on? We didn't figure out. I used to see him walk from his grandmother's house to Nixon's Crossroads. They have a training facility over there. They do. I used to see him walk, not ride, but walk. And that's not, in context, it's a short walk, but it's not because you go on that push to Highway 90 be live and it does this.
Oh yeah.
And then so Scottie D, you know this too. So Boot Hill, he from my hood. That's right. We on the map. Eddy Kool Sports Bros podcast. Trayshawn Gore knocking him in the head with them big elbows. I'm writing stories. Woo! Boot Hill
and
is
Google,
a hot bag. Huh?
Google, get a picture of him. Get a picture of him, Google.
Yeah, so
everybody on the card except him on Google. Everybody on the card got a picture except him. Get a picture. Let's get a picture of him.
Scottie D, what does Google need to do?
Get a picture.
And they also need
do better.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Be live. I've had enough of you. I'm about to get a Trayshawn Gore on you here. So let's wrap this sucker up.
All right. Let's go ahead and get the hell up out of here, and let's go ahead and try to watch a little bit of Monday Night Raw. And I got to get up out of here because I got to go grocery shopping because I'm not trying to be snowed in and hungry. Not trying to do that. And as always, thanks once again for watching and listening to the Sports Bros podcast. We love you now more than ever. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll appreciate it now more than ever. Check me out. WOBO Radio. Friday night. Saturday afternoon. It's been another episode. Sports Bros podcast. Where's my paper? I can't find my paper. I'll get up out of the chair. Be loud. Bye.